So I'm going to show you how you can most effectively level up your battle pass by solely just playing the game without spending money on it. And later in the video I'll be going into why this battle pass is actually more greedy in comparison to last year. But straight away getting into it, achievements are by far the best way to level up. You can gain 50 levels out of doing the achievements that are currently here. 15 of the 50 levels come from coaching. As you'll see here, coaching is 15,000 battle points. Now the problem with coaching is that you need to have greater than 8,000 behavioral score. If you don't have that, you need to get your behavioral score up. You can do that by playing regularly and not getting reported. You might have to play a lot of matches to bring it up, but this is definitely something that you need to consider, because overall this is going to account for roughly 10% of the overall points that you can achieve solely by playing the game if you have a level 1 battle pass. Now going down even further, you have the party finder. The party finder will give you about 10 battle points, or like 10,000, so 10 levels. So I don't know how it works yet, and it's worth your time to figure out how the party finder works and to use it effectively. Just add random people, whatever, just do something with it. You can't just like give up 10 levels for nothing. Now the other one that's really effective as well, that's even probably more effective than the party finder, is the jungle. You can get a total of 33 levels out of the jungle expedition. There's 300 battle points at 51 and 9 for like 2,000 battle points. Now just doing all of these, that's like literally a ton of points. Now another way of being really effective is with wagers. Now the wagers is the next thing that's most effective. And if you get a level 1 battle pass, you get 1,000 tokens every week. And it's really important that you just use up all the tokens. Even if you use them all in the first day, it's better than hoarding them and leaving them till the very last day and getting them to like expire essentially. So you want to always use these tokens no matter what. And you also get these tribute tokens, which are pretty much the same, but they last for the entirety of the battle pass. And if you don't use them, again, they also expire and you don't get to use them. Now the other one that's really important, that's really easy to do, is your weekly challenge. You have daily challenges and weekly challenges. The daily challenges are like, I don't even think they're that much worth it. It's only 100 points. I had Chen yesterday. I'm not gonna play Chen for 100 battle points. Like, come on, right? I do this one instead, right? Destroy 50 enemy towers with your team. You get 400 battle points. And if you do that every week, there's a total of 16 weeks for this battle pass. There's potentially even a 17th week, because the battle pass sometimes gets extended further. So you're looking at roughly around 6.5 levels for the weekly challenge. That's a huge amount. Now the next one that's also really effective is the prize pool. So if you look, so the reward, as I was saying, look, there's 109 days, that equates to roughly like 15.5 weeks, but the 15.5 like rolls over into the 16th week. So in the compendium, there's this prize pool where if we reach a goal of 25.5 million, everyone with a battle pass, even if you buy it after you reach the goal, gets 10,000 points. That's 10 levels for free. And at the current rate that we're going at, it's definitely going to hit that goal, unless there's some random thing that ends up happening. Now the other goal then is at 30,000, which is another 10 levels, so potentially another 20 levels on top of that. And I think that we're going to get pretty close to 30 million, maybe even a little bit above it, especially with the fact that this battle pass is a little bit more greedy in comparison to last year, which I'll go into a little bit later. Now the other one that's going to give you a lot of points as well is the fantasy cards. This is something that people always mess up on. They forget to log in, they forget to do their cards every year. By doing this, if you're in the top 10%, you can get 16 levels. If you're in the top 25%, you get 8 levels. And if you're in the top 50%, you get 4 levels. That's really good. And I think that even this year you have the mobile app, so it'll be no excuse really to say that, oh, I couldn't get to a computer to log in. If you have the mobile app, you can like do your cards. I guarantee you it's going to work this year, hopefully anyway. Valve time, which you don't know if they'll get that feature out there in time. This is kind of like a little bit pay to win, and I think that it's much harder to get the like top 10%. I found last year. I think people are doing it a little bit more. There's more guides online for this sort of stuff, so really expecting here to get about 8 levels by being in the top 25%. Now the predictions and the bracket predictions, so the bracket predictions are like the upper bracket and lower bracket, and they're usually like quite hard to predict. I'm going to estimate you get about 4 levels for that. And then there's other predictions like which player had the highest GPM, what was the most kills in a match in the main events, and all this sort of stuff. The problem is there's a lot of multiple choice in those, and it ends up being quite hard to predict correctly. And there's always some like matches that are like an outlier, and those are things that I estimate around getting like maybe 5 levels out of that. So the last one that is not mentioned anywhere here is this shovel. You can go digging for holes. So if you have, you'll find this in the UI when you're playing the game. But these holes, you can dig up the ground randomly, and often you just get nothing. But apparently there's like gold particles that appear in the ground, and you can dig them up, and you have a much higher chance of getting something out of them. You can get like 100 battle points, 500 battle points, even 5,000. You can get a baby Roshan, another treasure, and sometimes you can get one of those like techies mines, the status traps or static traps, whatever they're called, and it'll actually like stun you, which is kind of like a meme almost. But those digging holes, you can get a little bit more out of that as well. So like really out of all of this, there is like other stuff that will happen as well, like the all-stars thing where you can vote on it. They'll probably give like an achievement for that. And there's also this thing called Marokia or Maraku. Jeez, I cannot pronounce it whatsoever, but it's supposed to be like the Year Beast 2.0. It's more achievements will be in Moraki or whatever it is. So realistically, combining all this together, you're looking at roughly 140 levels to get out of just solely leveling up. Now, if you're someone who does really good with wagering, you get lots of tips, maybe you might be able to push it to 160. Now, it's likely that if you do spend levels and you do get something like these extra wagering tokens and you have bought a higher level battle pass, you might be able to get another, like, say, 5 levels on top of that. But realistically speaking, it's kind of hard to level up by doing this stuff, as you'll see. Now, the other reason why it's kind of hard to level up is because previously in last year there used to be achievements for opening treasures. Now these achievements have been replaced by the coaching and the party finder thing, and the idea is that it makes it much harder for you to progress through levels now by buying like opening more chests, and to get to higher levels is going to take you like much more money. So earning it through grinding and playing the game now has a larger value overall. Now the other thing that's really controversial here is the recycling. So if we go and look at the recycling here, you can recycle 4 immortals for 1 treasure and a Riley spin. Now this is really crappy because in 2018 you used to be able to recycle 1 immortal for 2 levels, like 2 full levels. So if you recycled 4 immortals, you would have gotten 8 levels. That sounds really good, and it means that you can progress much further in levels wise by just like recycling stuff that you don't want. Even if you don't want like some of the stuff, like say for example I don't play Nyx, I might even decide to recycle that, but it's not worth it now because I don't get levels up. Now hypothetically, right, if you do the maths here, right, if you recycled in 2018, if you recycled 5 immortals, you would get 10 levels, which would unlock a treasure. Now this year, that to unlock a treasure now only takes 4 immortals, which is 1 less. Overall, this kind of means that you get more spins on the treasures than what you used to by doing it this way. However, you also level up like kind of like a little bit slower because the achievements don't exist that I mentioned a few minutes ago. Now the other thing is, if you are deciding to spend money on the game, who spends money in Dota? Free game. The bundle is by far the best. There's always a bundle every single year. If you don't think it's coming, it's going to come. Like, it literally every year. So it happens 2 weeks before the international starts. It'll probably be somewhere around August 7th that this will come out. Last year they gave you 100 battle point levels. Crazy. 7 treasure 1s and 7 treasure 2s. It was literally like by far the most best value that you can have on anything. Now the other thing that I found kind of controversial, I didn't see anyone mention this, is the price of purchasing levels. This year, this is euro, so I'm in Europe, and this is €8.75 for 24 levels. Last year this was €7.95. I'm like, what the frick, Valve? And I went and looked at like exchange rates, and apparently the euro is worth less money this year in comparison to dollar. However, what's also kind of striking about this is that it doesn't directly represent the price bumped up in comparison to last year. What I found is that I'm spent in like my conversion rates is that I'm spending 4.5% higher for these like battle point levels in comparison to last year. So I'm kind of getting like ripped off a little bit here, which is kind of like there's nothing stating that the price went up by 4.5% in comparison to last year. Now, the other thing that's really important as well about these levels is that technically they're more valuable in comparison to last year, because this year you have like stuff like this tiny prestige item. Where is it? Here. And then you have like an Earthshaker Immortal, like some sort of Invoker persona. They're pretty much like an Arcana almost that you can unlock. And you also have that axe thing where he's like John Cena or whatever. And it's kind of weird because now these levels are like harder to achieve, but they're worth like a lot more in terms of like what you get back out of it. But if you're trying to get something like the level 1000, my finger is getting sore now. What's the workout? Getting to 1000 probably costs you way more money than it used to in previous years, especially with the 4.5% costing more for like the price of like the 24 levels that were there. Apparently on the US store it's the same price as it was last year. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you get your battle point levels up further. If you want to see more Dota content, like seeing the difference between Hurled players and Immortal players, check out my other videos on my channel. I have a bunch of like pretty much all Dota content, and I also have a Discord server which you can check that out too.